So, everyone, welcome to the Feeling Inspired podcast. My special guest today is a gentleman by the name of Brendan Kane, who's written a book called 1 Million Followers, and I'm so excited to have him on today. So, let's give him a huge round of applause. So, thank you, Brendan, for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, firstly, for your book as well, because I think that was definitely really helpful. I managed to get a special offer on Audible, so I grabbed it, well, even though I had the copy. Like I said to you in my email, I've kind of been following a lot of the stuff that you pretty much said in the book as well. But there's a few specific challenges I'm having. So, which I think I'm not the only one. A lot of people are also having as well. So things like, for example, I'll start straight off with, for example, video. For some reason on my page, I really struggle with video. So if you looked at my page right now, you'd see the engagement on my pictures are very high, very good. But for some reason, my video just hardly gets any engagement. That is, if I just do a natural video, I do a live, I share a video by myself without sharing it to anyone else or groups or asking anyone else to share it for me, my engagement on it is very, very low generally. So I've just never been able to figure out why. It seems like my page is penalized or something. I don't know. I can't quite figure it out.
So the biggest thing that you've got to understand about any social platform when it comes to content, especially video, is the algorithm's role and the algorithm's job. Now, people hear the word algorithm, they automatically demonize it and think it's out to get them or get them to pay for reach and things of that nature. But it's simply not the case. The algorithms have a very difficult job to do. And they have only one goal, and that goal is to keep people on the platform longer. That's how these social platforms make money. As the longer you spend on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform it is, that's how their business operates. So the algorithms have one job and one job only, is what content are they going to see to each individual as they open up the app that has the highest likelihood to retain them and keep them on the platform longer. And just visualize this as a consumer, and next time you open up one of these apps, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, TikTok, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. But once you open up that app, there's probably 1,000 pieces of content the algorithms can seed to you based on all the people that you're following and all of the content you've engaged with in the post. So that presents a very difficult problem, because obviously the algorithms can't seed 1,000 pieces of content into that main feed as you open it. It needs to prioritize what are the first 5, 10, 15 posts. And if your content doesn't meet the criteria that the algorithms are looking for, meaning that it doesn't believe it's going to retain the audience, then they're going to favor other content ahead of it. And that's a lot of what you see when there's accounts with large followings that have minimal engagement or minimal reach. It's not because they have fake followers or unengaged followers. It's simply that the algorithms have deemed not to give it reach. So when we talk about video specifically, and the challenge that you're running into in a lot of people is understanding the factors and variables that the algorithms are looking for to determine whether it's going to give it reach or not. So specifically when we talk about Facebook, and it typically is the same for other platforms, but with Facebook you can see it clearly in their data set, is we look at a few key metrics to determine whether our content is going to be successful and whether the algorithms are going to give us reach. And we optimize our content against these metrics. So the first metric is the view to reach ratio. So what that means is views today, especially on Facebook, are not counted at the 1 second mark. They're counted at the 3 second mark, because back a few years ago, advertisers were up in arms about getting charged at a 1 second view because it didn't really show intent. It's like just the video was loading and people are scrolling past it. So they changed it to be at 3 seconds, and most social platforms operate under that as well. So what the algorithms are looking at is, what is the ratio of the number of 3 second views generated with the reach that they give it? And then we create, a ratio off of that. And what that tells the algorithm is, are people actually stopping and even staying for 3 seconds, or are they just scrolling past it automatically? So typically our benchmark and threshold is about 30% is the absolute lowest that you want. Anything below 30%, you're just not going to get any reach. But the key target is around 40 to 50%. Anything over 40 or 50%, that's great. Anything over 50% beyond, you're going to get maximum reach. So that's one of the first metrics to pay attention to, is in your analytics, is what is my ratio of views to reach? And if it's below 30%, then what it's telling you is your creative is not, your video is not positioned in a way that's getting people to stop in its feed. So you've got to figure out, and one of the terms that we use is pattern interruption, is how can you interrupt that pattern of that constant never-ending scrolling to get them to stop for at least 3 seconds. Because if you can't get them to stop in those first 3 seconds, then you're not going to get them to pay attention to the next 5, 10, 15, 20. So your first job is to pay attention to what that ratio is and how can you push that ratio up as high as possible. And as I break down in the book of doing the hypothesis, test, and pivot, if you want to get really good at video, is really hypothesize of what's going to get that pattern interruption to get somebody to stop in those first 3 seconds. So after that view to reach ratio, then we will look at the shares to views, specifically on Facebook. So what does that share to view ratio look like? And typically we want to see around 1% share to view ratio. Obviously, as you scale to tens of millions of views, that may dip a little bit low, but 1% is a really solid benchmark for that. And then the third metric is just overall, what's the overall retention of the video? And Facebook has an amazing retention graph in the post analytics that you can look at to see how long people are staying. And this, again, is on any platform, is the algorithms are going to give you massive reach if you're retaining people. If they're spending a lot of time on your content, they're going to want to seed it to as many people as possible because that is good for their business. Versus what's not good for their business is you open up the app and people are just scrolling past every piece of content, you get bored, you close the app. And if that behavior happens over and over and over again, ultimately they'll stop using the app. So that's at a very high level of kind of how we look at video performance and how we go about testing and fixing video performance.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. And I guess the obvious question after that is, I know you said obviously a little bit about testing and, you know, trialing and doing a bit of split testing or A/B testing on something, a piece of content. What do you say to someone who feels that their content is good? If you if I show it to someone, they say, yeah, this is a fantastic piece of content, and they really enjoy it. They love it. They loved watching it. The consensus is the content is great, but it still feels like that it's not picking up. Do you know what I mean? And so what's the best way to turn this around? What can I do specifically, or anyone else in my boat, if they're struggling and they're trying different things, putting out different pieces of content, but it just feels like an uphill struggle in that respect. So like I said, images, if you were to look at my page right now, I posted an image at 11 a.m. this morning. It's already had, well over 1,000 likes and a few hundred shares, which is not bad for a few hours. Not too bad at all. But if you look at, say, a video that I post, it would not even be, well, probably 2% of that, if that. And again, just trying different things, even posting what would normally be popular viral videos. So there was a video recently, I'm sure you must have seen it, with the two babies running towards each other, the white baby, the black baby. And, anyone else posts that video, it goes crazy. On my page, it still did okay. It did a lot better than my usual stuff, but it still didn't perform brilliantly, I would say. So what can someone do to turn that around?
Well, there's a few things. One, even with that video that went viral, you've got to still look at the metrics and just see what is the retention rate. What is that view to share ratio? What is the view to reach ratio? You've got to be paying attention to the data. And I'm very hesitant to ever show somebody content and ask them their opinion, is let the data. Because what people say and what people do are two completely different things most of the time. And just because somebody tells you it's an amazing piece of content, look at the data. Does the data tell you it's an amazing piece of content? Now, beyond that, you can build more trust in the algorithm. And that's where you've got to be. This is one of the reasons I hate the methodology of just post multiple times a day. Post as much content as you can. Now, was that a great strategy 5 or 6 years ago? Yes. But today, with the algorithms, if you keep posting content and it doesn't resonate, it does ding you in the algorithm. It does put a negative stain on your page or your account in the algorithms ranking in their eyes. Now, does that say that you're doomed and you can't overcome it? No, absolutely not. You can overcome it as long as you're not doing nefarious things